Hi, my name is Lisa and you are watching One Lisa Show. Welcome aboard, and if you have been a subscriber, I haven't posted some videos in a while, so I apologize for that. I actually have done very little sewing, but what I have done has been pretty cool, and I'm excited to talk about those in other videos. Today I wanted to catch up and do a Friday Sews because there was one project in particular I was working on this week that I wanted to share with you guys. Before I get into that, if you haven't noticed, I'm in an unfinished attic. That's where I've been sewing the past month. Big Daddy's parents came and visited us in April, and when they did, they stayed in my sewing room. So what I did was I moved my sewing room back into the attic, which is where it used to be, and still sometimes is depending on the weather, because it is an unfinished attic. And while you might think it's a waste of space, it's a blank canvas. It might not have pretty walls, it might not have a pretty floor, but it's still a separate space that I can kind of hide away from everyone. It gives me a lot of focus. The downside is because it's an unfinished attic, sometimes it's too hot and sometimes it's too cold. But I do keep my scrap bin up in here and a lot of my patterns. So the weather has been perfect, which I haven't moved anything back in since Big Daddy's parents left. And then I went to Washington, D.C. on a business trip for the realtors. I had legislative meetings at the Capitol, which was amazing. Being the next year's president for my local association, I was invited to come and learn a lot and hear a lot, and that was my first time in Washington, D.C., and I'll go again next year, and I am looking forward to it because now I'm going to know what I want to do, what I want to see. I didn't really get to go to many exciting things that I was hoping for. One of my goals was to go into a bunch of museums, and I didn't go to any museums. I did go to church, and that was probably the best free time and wise spending of free time, I think, out of the bunch. So I went with a handful of other realtors in my association, and we had a great time. I'm looking forward to going back to Washington, D.C., and I'm looking forward to seeing more American history. So now you know about the space, and I've been slightly consumed with those items in the past 2 months. But I did get a little sewing in, and I made some skirts. And I do want to share those skirts with you, but they're all dirty. They're all in my laundry bin. And I kind of want to do a pattern review because I'm not much of a skirt person. I do have skirts, but I prefer a dress over a skirt. And I don't know why, because I think I could easily make a skirt and a top that match and then have more capabilities in it look like a dress. I could wear them together. I could wear them separate with other things. And I think that would be a better use of my items in my wardrobe and kind of mixing up my look. I digress. This week I had been working on a scrap buster, and I was revisiting a pattern I wasn't too keen on. I made it a couple of summers ago. It was Kwik Sew 3854. And if you're new to sewing, Kwik Sew was an amazing pattern brand. They no longer are in print. However, you can find Kwik Sew patterns online, sometimes in Facebook, sometimes on Etsy, and also on eBay. Or if you go to like a secondhand shop or a charity shop, you might see Kwik Sew patterns. And I'm going to suggest if you do pick them up, and I loved this version, you could see here. According to my measurements, it put me at an extra large at that time. And I made the extra large, and it was way too big. It was so massive. It was also maybe possibly due to some of the fabric. It was my first time using a lyocell twill, which can be a slippery type of fabric, even though it's not slippery by feel. It kind of moves a lot. It was too big for me. I wasn't pleased with it. I had a lot of mistakes. I was relatively newer back into sewing. And so I decided to revisit this pattern, and I was going through my scrap pile and found some suiting fabric. I made a pair of pants out of this suiting fabric from Minerva. It's going to be hard to see, but it's a suiting fabric from Minerva. I guarantee there's some polyester. It's a woven, but it has some nice You can still see my chalk marks because I'm in the middle of this project. Almost done. But here is where I'm at. I had that. I didn't have enough for the whole skirt, so I used some scrap gingham for my pocket facing. And then I used some scraps of some other dark blue fabric I had. I think I used for a lining on something. And I have pieced together these shorts. They're still not perfect, but I'm so much happier with them. Now I'm going to say I made a size smaller, the size large, and I can't try them on yet because they're not complete, but I have my buttonholes in, and here's my biggest mistake is this is more of a straight line on this side of this panel, and this has the perfect angle on this panel. It just happened that way, and I don't think many people are going to notice. This is a pair of shorts that will look good with a shirt tucked in or untucked. So far, the fittings they have fit well. I will say a little tight around the waist, but otherwise it fits well. I'm so much happier with this pair than I was with the previous pair I made, and I was so disgusted by the previous pair I made that I'm surprised I kept the pattern. That pair I can't show you because I gave it to Goodwill. I gave it to Goodwill recently because it just didn't fit. It was too big, it was too baggy, and I don't even know if somebody would ever have purchased it at Goodwill because there were mistakes. It wasn't of the quality that I try to put out for myself right now. And that sounds horrible, but I guess I'm more meticulous and more of a perfectionist. And there's a fine line. You want to get something done. So this has mistakes too. It's not perfect, but there's places where it didn't catch the stitch in the when I stitched in the ditch on the other side. There's a couple spots here where I'll probably go back in and do hand stitching. I overlocked because it was fraying, and it looks great now, but I do have to still do my hem, and I have to put my buttons on. And let me show you my buttons. So I'm not going to use a traditional button. I'm going to use a shank for like denim. I think that's going to look great. It's a tiny one. It's really tiny. I bought these on Minerva. They're so small. I should have really paid attention to the size I purchased that I wouldn't use these on a button fly pants or shorts, but they are tiny, but I think they're going to work great here on these. That has been my main project this week. I'm really pleased with it. I'm surprised. I'm very surprised that it's working so well because it was completely out of scraps, and I am trying to be more diligent on using my scraps this year, trying to keep that to a minimum. Quickly, one of the things I started working on when I was in Washington, D.C. was another pair of socks. I had a ball of sock yarn, and I was looking for a project to take on the plane and for when I had alone time in my hotel room and needed something to fiddle with. And so I haven't gone very far because I haven't worked on it in a couple of weeks. But this is a pair of socks I'm working on. And the yarn was an Australian superwash wool. I can't remember the brand, but I loved the color when I bought it. And one ball was supposed to make 2 pairs of socks, and I think I'll get that. And it's turning out really good. I'm very pleased with it. So I wanted to show that. And I'm so out of practice that I don't know what to talk about today. Again, like I said, I made some skirts that I really, really love, and I've been wearing them. So they are in the laundry bin, but it is a simplicity pattern, and I think it's something that probably will look good on a lot of people. So I want to do a nice review of it. I didn't even take pictures of it, any of the items with me wearing them. That's just, I haven't been doing what I should be doing, I guess. I did pick up last weekend a new pattern to me, and it is a Mccalls 8329, and it is a new venture for Lisa. It is a swimsuit. This particular pattern has both the 2-piece and a 1-piece, And there's two different tops for the two-piece. It's basically the same top. One is more of a halter, and it has this detail underneath. And if I show you the line drawing, there we go, showing you the line drawing. I am attracted to the one piece with the one shoulder. And it has like a plastic ring, so I do need to go to Joann's or Hobby Lobby and look for a nice ring attachment there to hold those two pieces together. This pattern, I have not found many reviews or pictures on Instagram or pattern review. It hasn't stopped me from buying this pattern, and on top of it, I went to knitfabric.com and bought some swimwear fabric and swimwear lining, relatively cheap. So that should be here in a couple of days, and then I look forward to trying my hand at this. I feel confident knowing that I have been able to successfully make underwear and bras for myself, and I think this would be great. And I was so attracted to this off the shoulder, like this one strap look. It reminds me of late 70s, early 80s bathing suits, and in particular, a months ago, actually, we were watching all the James Bond movies, which we do quite often. James Bond is one of my favorite series that I can watch over and over. And I can't remember which James Bond movie it was, but it was either in the late 70s, early 80s, and there were women by the pool, and a lot of them had the one strap, look. And I distinctly remember telling Big Daddy, I need to make me one of those. That's pretty cool. I like how that looks. So this is my go at it, and I'm very excited. If that fabric comes in today or tomorrow, looks like this will be my weekend project. And if not, maybe I'll make some. If not, I really need to, besides finishing this, which I should be able to do pretty quick, it just needs the buttons and the hem. I think I want to work on a fun shift dress. I've been looking through my pattern stash, and I don't think I've found one that is really calling out to me. So if you have one online that is a downloadable PDF and you recommend it, I want a simple tank top shift dress. I was looking at, I think it was So Over It's simple shift dress. I'm looking for just something very simple, A-line with maybe some darts. And I've made a handful of those types of dresses for my nieces, and the one that is 9 has been wearing them from last summer, and it's just such a nice, calm, cooling kind of easy breezy wear. And if you watch Trisha Pinky's Farm, if you watch Jen from Today and Jen's Sewing Room, these women like their shift dresses, their tank top style, flowy, and I get it. I want one too. I want some. So I have some fun quilting cotton in my stash that would be perfect for a simple shift dress because they have a nice busy pattern on them, but something that doesn't have a lot of seams. So I'm happy to entertain any suggestions you have. Otherwise, everything is well in my world. Me and Penny and I are doing a walk for charity. We're raising funds for St. Jude. If you are my friend on Facebook, or I think I have posted on Instagram, but yeah, we committed to the Walk Your Dog 30 Miles in June challenge, and we're killing it. We're doing pretty good. We're getting about a mile or more a day. So I think we're going to surpass it. We're already at 10 miles, and it's not even June 10th yet. So I'm very excited about that. We're tracking our walks with Runkeeper, and Penny has a GPS tracker on her. It doesn't say how much she walks, but it shows she walks her path, and it matches up to my Runkeeper app. So we don't have to turn anything in. It's kind of on the honor system, but we're doing it and we're tracking it, and we're absolutely loving it. She's trying to squeak out a third walk from me every day because we usually do 2 walks a day. But she's loving it, and it's very good for us, for both of us. And we're not walking in extreme heat. We're not walking in extreme weather conditions. So we are being smart about it, but I figured we'd be better off to try to do a little bit over a mile every day in the beginning of June while the weather is nice and not nice and not so hot, or especially on the days we don't have rain, because I don't particularly care for walking in the rain. I think I've talked too much. I hope you guys are having a great day. I hope you're finding some time to do something for yourself, whether it be a craft, sewing, knitting, crocheting, or baking, because I also have cookies in the oven right now from some cookie dough I made a couple of days ago that I forgot I needed to bake up. So after I get done with this, I'm going to have some cookies and it'll be time for lunch. And I hope you get a chance to watch this. And I hope you get a chance to watch this. Thanks so much for watching. I appreciate everybody's comments, and I'm happy to be back. Here's to a great summer ahead of us. All right. Bye-bye. Have a good weekend.